I'm Sophia, a 29-year-old pediatric nurse, and last Christmas shattered the last illusion I had about my family. But what happened that night wasn't just one terrible moment. It was the result of a lifetime of being invisible. My family always revolved around my older sister, Chloe. She was 3 years older, louder, smarter, and in my parents' eyes, flawless. I was the quiet one, the background character, the one who was expected to understand, forgive, and move on. From the time we were kids, the pattern was clear. When Chloe wanted something, she got it. When she broke something of mine, I was blamed. When she cried, I was punished, even if I hadn't done anything wrong. One memory stands out more than the rest. I was 7 years old and had saved my allowance for weeks to buy a delicate wooden model ship. I kept it high on my shelf because I loved it so much. One afternoon, Chloe decided she wanted to play with it in the bathtub. I said no, it wasn't a toy and it would fall apart in water. An hour later I heard a crash. I ran into the bathroom and found my ship in pieces, floating in the tub. Chloe was standing there, water dripping from her hair. When my mother rushed in, Chloe pointed at me and said, "She pushed me." I didn't. But my mother didn't ask. She hugged Chloe, scolded me, and grounded me for being jealous. Chloe got ice cream and a new doll. That was the day I learned something important. In our family, Chloe's version of reality was the only one that mattered. As we grew up, nothing changed. Only the stakes got higher. Chloe was the debate star, the theater lead, the academic trophy collector. I was the quiet biology lover who volunteered at animal shelters and dreamed of working with kids. When I got into nursing school, my parents said, "That's nice, a practical job." When Chloe got into law school, they threw a party. When I got engaged to Liam, a calm, kind military officer who respected me and my work, my parents were unimpressed. Chloe's fiancé was a corporate lawyer, flashy, arrogant, and successful by their standards. Liam was steady, honorable, and humble, but that didn't fit their idea of success. Then I became a mother. The moment I held my daughter, Lily, I felt a kind of love I had never known. It was protective, fierce, and unconditional. But to my family, Lily was just another thing to be compared, and quietly judged. Chloe was proudly child-free and made no secret of her belief that children ruined ambition. She often made comments like, "Well, I guess that's what happens when you trade boardrooms for baby bottles," while my parents laughed uncomfortably and said nothing. When Lily started getting attention from relatives, Chloe's irritation became obvious. She was used to being the center of every room, and now a baby was stealing that spotlight. The tension grew quietly for 10 months. Then Christmas arrived. In the weeks leading up to dinner, my mother called and asked me to keep Lily quiet, because Chloe had been stressed at work. I reminded her Lily was a baby, not a mute button. My mother sighed and said she just wanted a peaceful holiday, code for a Chloe-centered holiday. A few days before Christmas, Chloe sent Lily an expensive beige outfit with a note, "So she can at least look sophisticated even if she can't be quiet." I didn't even bother replying. The night before Christmas Eve, Chloe called me directly, which almost never happened. She informed me that she wanted me, Liam, and Lily to sit at a side table so Lily wouldn't disrupt the meal. I told her no. She hung up. That night, as I packed Lily's diaper bag, Liam watched me carefully and said, "We don't have to go." But I said no because I was tired of always retreating. This was Lily's first Christmas. I wasn't letting my sister exile us from our own family. We made a pact. We'd go together, and if anyone crossed a line, we'd leave. I had no idea how badly that line would be crossed. I thought the worst thing that could happen was a rude comment. But what Chloe did next would change my life forever. We arrived at my parents' house right on time, carrying Lily in her little red dress, the one I'd picked out because she looked like a tiny Christmas ornament. I took a deep breath and stepped into the house I'd grown up in. The atmosphere was tense but polite. Christmas music played softly. My mother greeted us with a nervous smile and immediately checked where Chloe was in the room. Chloe barely acknowledged us, sipping wine on the couch while talking loudly about her upcoming ski trip. My father greeted Liam warmly, but barely spoke to me. For the first hour everything seemed fine. Lily sat on my lap, happily chewing her teething ring and babbling quietly. Every time she made a sound I noticed Chloe's jaw tighten, just slightly, but she said nothing. Dinner was announced. As we walked into the dining room, I immediately noticed the seating arrangement. We weren't at the main table, but we weren't fully banished either. My mother had placed us at the far end, as far away from Chloe as possible. Compromise. Quiet one. Telling one. Liam squeezed my hand under the table. Dinner began. My father carved the turkey. My mother hovered anxiously. Chloe dominated the conversation, complaining about work, bonuses, and how unfair her firm was. I tried to eat, but Lily was getting tired. She squirmed a little and let out a soft whimper. "She's fine," I said quickly, reaching for a toy. Lily grabbed it and let out a happy squeal. Chloe stopped talking. Is she going to start? She asked, not to me, but to my mother. She's just sleepy, I replied. Chloe sighed dramatically. Can you control your child? I'm trying to have an adult conversation. She's a baby, I said, trying to stay calm. She's just playing. The room went quiet. Lily suddenly started crying, the tired, frustrated cry of a baby who needed to go to bed. Okay, I said softly, standing up. I'll take her into the living room. As I walked behind Chloe's chair, holding my crying daughter, something happened so fast my brain couldn't process it at first. Chloe reached back, without even turning around, and slapped Lily's leg. Not hard, not violently, but deliberately. The sound echoed in the room. Lily's cry cut off for a split second, then exploded into a scream of shock and pain. Froze. What did you just do? I whispered. Chloe turned around slowly, annoyed. What? I barely touched her. I was trying to get her to stop. You hit my baby, I said, my voice shaking. I looked down and saw a red mark forming on Lily's leg. Oh, calm down, Chloe said, rolling her eyes. It was just a tap. You're being dramatic. I looked around the table, desperately for support. My father stared at his plate. My mother stared at the tablecloth. Mark smirked. No one said a word. The silence was louder than the slap. I felt something break inside me, not just anger but a deep, hollow grief. I wasn't just being ignored anymore. My child was. I clutched Lily to my chest, tears streaming down my face, waiting, praying for my mother to say something. She didn't. That silence told me everything. Chloe leaned back in her chair, smug, waiting for me to retreat, to leave, to shrink like I always had. But I didn't notice the movement beside me. I didn't see Liam stand up, until he was already on his feet. Just when I thought I was completely alone in that room, my husband did something that stunned everyone, including me. Liam moved slowly, deliberately, placing his napkin on the table before pushing his chair back. The sound of the chair scraping against the floor felt deafening. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't shout. He didn't swear. He simply looked directly at Chloe. Get out. 2 words. Not a request. Not a suggestion. An order. The room froze. Chloe blinked. What did you just say to me? I said get out, he repeated calmly. You don't get to stay in this house after hitting my daughter. Chloe's face twisted in disbelief. You can't kick me out. Mom. Dad. She turned to my parents, waiting for them to defend her, to restore the usual family hierarchy. They said nothing. My father looked pale. My mother looked terrified, but not of Chloe's actions, of confrontation. Liam, sit down, my mother whispered. Let's not make this worse. He ignored her. You touched my child, he said evenly. You forfeited the right to be in her presence. Chloe's husband, Mark, finally spoke. Hey, hold on. Liam looked at him. Just look. Mark sat back down. Chloe grabbed her purse and stood up, shaking with rage. Fine. I don't want to be here anyway. She stormed out. The front door slammed. The house went silent. Liam turned to me immediately. Are you okay? I couldn't speak. I just nodded. Let's go home, he said gently. My mother finally found her voice. Sophia, wait. It's Christmas. We can still salvage this. No, I said quietly. It's over. We left. No goodbyes. No explanations. Just the 3 of us, walking out into the cold night air, into peace. The drive home was quiet. Lily slept. Liam drove. I stared out the window, shaking, but not from fear. From relief. At home we put Lily to bed. Then Liam made tea and sat beside me on the couch. Thank you, I whispered. No one has ever stood up to her for me. There was no other option, he said simply. She was a threat to our daughter. The next morning my mother called. She said Chloe was hurt. I said Chloe hit my baby. My mother said, it was just a tap. Then she said Liam humiliated Chloe, and that we needed to apologize. I laughed. No, I said. She needs to apologize. And so do you and Dad. There was silence. Then anger. Then blame. Then tears. Then guilt. Hung up. The calls continued for days. You're tearing the family apart. Family is family. You need to be the bigger person. Liam held me and said, you're not destroying the family. You're protecting ours. A week later, Chloe sent a letter. Not an apology, but a list of demands. Liam read it, walked to the fireplace, and burned it. That was our answer. The calls stopped. The silence became permanent. And something incredible happened. Felt lighter. Felt free. But even after choosing peace, I didn't realize how much my life was about to change, until something unexpected happened next. The months after Christmas were strange. Quiet, heavy, and healing all at once. At first I felt grief, not for the family I had, but for the family I wished I had. I'd see something in a store and think, Mom would love that, before remembering we no longer spoke. Sometimes I felt guilt, sometimes sadness, sometimes anger. But beneath all of it was something new. Our home became a sanctuary. No tension. No walking on eggshells. No competition. No criticism. Lily's giggles filled the house. And no one told her to be quiet. Her first steps, her first words, her messy attempts at stacking blocks. They were celebrated without comparison, without jealousy, without judgment. Thrive. At work I applied for a leadership position and got it. I found my voice, not just as a mother, but as a nurse, an advocate, a woman who no longer apologized for existing. I realized something powerful. Caring wasn't a weakness. It was my strength. As Christmas approached the following year, old feelings resurfaced. One night, I asked Liam if I should call my parents, just to see if anything had changed. He asked one question. Have they apologized?
Well,
Have they acknowledged what happened?
well,
Then what would calling accomplish? I had no answer, except reopening wounds. So we made our own Christmas. We decorated a tree together. We baked cookies. We laughed. We wore pajamas all day. On Christmas morning, Lily tore into wrapping paper with pure joy, her face glowing with wonder. No tension. No silence. Just love. Later that afternoon I received a photo from a cousin. My parents, Chloe and Mark, at Christmas dinner. They were smiling, but their smiles were hollow. Chloe was still the center. But something was missing. I looked at the photo, then at my husband on the floor teaching Lily how to stack blocks, and I deleted it. Had chosen joy. I knew some people would say I overreacted. That it was just a misunderstanding. But the truth is, the family was already broken. I just stopped pretending it wasn't. Standing up for my daughter didn't destroy the family. Saved me. Saved us. And it stopped a cycle that had lasted generations. But the story doesn't end here, because something happened later that proved just how powerful that choice really was. Months passed. No calls. No texts. No letters. Just silence. At first, the silence hurt, but then it became comforting. No more emotional ambushes. No more guilt trips. No more being told to tolerate mistreatment for the sake of family. I learned to trust my instincts again. I learned to say no without explaining. I learned that love does not require suffering. Then one afternoon my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. Can we talk? My heart raced, but not with hope. With clarity. I showed Liam. He asked one question. Are you ready for them to minimize what happened? I knew the answer.
well,
So I didn't reply. A week later, another message. Your father is very upset. Still no apology. Still no accountability. I didn't respond. Then, unexpectedly, I heard from a cousin. She said Chloe had been telling everyone that I turned the family against her, that Liam was controlling, and that I overreacted to a harmless tap. I wasn't surprised. That version of the story protected her ego. But I wasn't going to correct it. I didn't need their approval anymore. I had something better. Truth. Family that felt safe. One day, Lily fell and scraped her knee. She cried, not because she was hurt badly, but because she was scared. I picked her up, kissed her forehead and said, It's okay. Mama's here. And I realized something. This was the kind of mother I never had. And that was okay because I was becoming her. I didn't need my parents to change. I had already changed. And that changed everything. Then, one final moment happened. Something that confirmed I had made the right choice all along. One evening, Lily was about 2 years old when she looked up at me and said her first full sentence. Mama, I safe. It wasn't grammatically perfect, but it was emotionally perfect. I held her tight and cried. Not from sadness. From gratitude. I had done what my parents never did. I had chosen safety over silence. Love over loyalty. Protection over peacekeeping. Years later, I still don't speak to my parents or my sister. Not because I hate them, but because I love my daughter more. And I love myself enough now to never return to a place that made me feel small. Some people will never understand. They'll say, "But she's your sister. But they're your parents. But it was just one moment." But abuse isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a pattern. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's choosing comfort over conscience. And sometimes healing means walking away. Not in anger but in clarity. I didn't lose my family. I built a better one. And I didn't break the cycle. I ended it. If you're reading this and wondering whether it's okay to walk away, ask yourself this. What kind of life are you protecting? And who are you protecting it for?